Okay, hello everybody and welcome to NRL British Grand Prix. We are in qualifying right now. We have Bacon seems to be on a slow lap. We've got Mock absolutely flying on his hot lap at the moment. And he's gone into non-ERS mode, so he is not going to be pushing. Looks like Yerdy might be pushing though in the Aston Martin. DRS wide open for Yerdis. As Calirob sets the provisional pole time of a 1:26.7. Let's just go check what tyre that's going to be on. If people would stop starting parties with me and covering the top left-hand quadrant of the screen. At DaceTG, go away. As we see Yerdy spin. Keeps it well away from the walls, and yeah, Calirob was on the softs for that lap. I don't think Kachow set his fastest lap on the softs though, although he is on an out lap on the softs now. I would say that Kachow would be our favourite to take pole here, but I don't want to feed his ego, so I'm not going to say that. I'd rather just be wrong. Here comes Dommy Lee, exiting the pits. He could possibly challenge at the top as well. He's going to want to be in the running for pole. We have Calirob here on a fast lap as well. Running a little bit low on the ERS, and he can't save that one. Into the wall he goes, and I'm not sure how exactly he has survived that. Unfortunately, as we know, Codemasters can't do their job at all, so we don't get a good camera angle of that. Unfortunately, we just get to see the S's, but it is what it is. We've got Mock that's actually lost it there on the exit. We see that as we ride on board with NRL Ben there. Just lost it on the exit of Baggett and Beckett, similar to what Perez did in the real sprint qualifying. Unfortunate for him. Ben just manages to keep it in track limits there. Has a little bit of margin to push there on his future laps. Probably just wants to get a safer sort of lap time in now though. He crosses the line, sets a 1:27.3 to go P8. Bases on an out lap, he gets out of the way of DV. As we see Kachow on his hot lap. With the yellow flag there, I think that's just going to be the McLaren of Dommy Lee going a little bit slow on his out lap, so nothing really to be concerned about. Got a Haas going slowly there on the main straight. That's going to be IRL Dundee. Probably just out of fuel, I suppose, after a push lap. Maybe even trying to give his teammate a little bit of a tow. As here comes Kachow. A little bit of a close call there with his teammate, but avoiding any drama. Not like Kachow would ever be interested in any drama. Into the final chicane he goes. Getting the traction down well there through the last corner, crosses the line. Doesn't improve there. And that was a hot lap as well because he's backed off now. Hohensy's gone second fastest with a 1:26.8. Calirob's on his out lap. He wants to further extend his lead at the top of the timing sheets, I'd imagine. Let's have a look at Calcis. What are you doing, Calcis, in that dirty AlphaTauri? As standing 4.97 Crib crosses the line. But his fastest lap doesn't stay there for long. Calcis with a 1:26.6. I picked the right random driver to tune into there, I think. As Calcis takes provisional pole. And Steintap takes it straight back off him again. AlphaTauri Civil War here. A 1:26.5 there from Steintap. Puts him just over a tenth ahead on provisional pole position. Great lap there by the Dutchman. Calirob is on his out lap. I'm not sure exactly if... No, Dommy Lee is not on a push lap. Bacon is also on an out lap as well. So both of the McLarens are not pushing currently. Calirub moving himself into the final sector of his outlap now. He has IRL Dundee, I think that is, behind him pushing. Nope, that's not. It's Kachow in his in-lap, I think. Yeah, as he peels off into the pits. Let's stay on board with Calirub, actually, for this lap. No pressure. Let's hope he hasn't had too much sangria in the run-up to this qualifying session, because we're going to be watching his lap like a hawk. Could have cut a little bit more there on the inside, but not too bad. Electing to go up to 8th gear through the left-hander, down to 4th. Doesn't use 2nd to try and get the rotation there. He uses 3rd. I would have thought he would have used 2nd to get a little extra bit of turn in, but he doesn't elect to do that. And down the straight he goes. Gets nicely over the curb on the inside. That's a purple sector 1. Although I do still think there was some time left on the table. In 4th gear to power out of there. He's trying to minimise his oversteer, but quite clearly it doesn't work. He doesn't get very tight to the right hand side there. Loses maybe a few 100ths. Through Cops we go. Keeps it in 8th. Does that very well there on the run up to Maggots and Beckett's now. 8th gear for the first. Then 8th gear for the second. Down to 7th. Then down to 6th. Straight back on the power again. Takes a little bit of the grass there and he does invalidate. I thought that was coming when I saw his line through there, just running a little bit wide. Let's get on board with Impossible Bacon now. In the first sector, there's only him and Yuri, I think, that are actually on push laps at the moment. Gets a nice bit of the curb there on the inside. All the way down to 2nd to try and keep it tight to the apex there, then uses 4th to power out of the corner. Straight up to 6th actually down the straight. Tight to the right hand side, minimises the actual mileage he has to do on the run up to Cops there, saves himself a few thousand to the second. Takes quite a lot of curbing on the inside there at Cops, but he gets away with it. Powering towards Maggots and Beckett's now in 8th gear. Through the left, through the right, and through the left again. Down to 5th, trying an early exit. Does he do what Calirub does? Not quite. He manages to keep it within the track limits there. The game claims he sets a purple middle sector. I'm not too sure if that's accurate or not, because we know what the game is like with middle sectors. It seems to go a little bit haywire. Through the final few corners we go now. All the way up into 8th gear. He's only got 0.7 laps of fuel left, so he's really pushing it on the fuel here as well. In 4th gear, as he gets down the traction down, crosses the line and moves up to P10. Doesn't look like Mr. Woot's on a push lap either. Yurdi was on a push lap, but he's invalidated. Honesy is on his outlap. So we've got a little bit of a lull in proceedings here. Not too much going on. VDV still hasn't set a lap time. Honesy now preparing himself to start that flying lap. It's going to be his final flying lap unless he does 2 consecutive runs here. He's not going to have enough fuel to do that, so this will be his final run. All the way over to 8th. Takes a lot of curb on the inside, but he gets away with it. Doesn't exceed track limits there. Brake in late just before the 50, gets down to 3rd. Doesn't quite get as much apex as I think he would have wanted to. But he makes up for it, taking a very nice line through that next left-hander. DRS open as he slams the power down now. Down the straight we go up towards the left-hander. Doesn't use all the curb on the right-hand side, prefers to keep it all on the tarmac for the most grip that you can get. Down to 3rd and then 4th. Powering out of that corner now. Keeping it tight to the right-hand side and minimise the distance. Cops easy in 8th gear there for Honesy. And through the left, then through the right, then through the left, all the way down to 6th gear, then through the right again in 5th. Does he wash out like Calirub does? No. In 7th now with the DRS open. This is looking like a pretty solid lap from Honesy. Through the fast right-hander he goes. Using all of the track on the left-hand side. And it looks like, yeah, he's been blocked there by Standing Crib. The Mercedes on an outlap, and I would not be surprised if that was a penalty. That was clear blocking there by Standing Crib. But we don't have time to dilly-dally on that. Calcis has started his flying lap now. Currently in P2, but he'll be looking to go even faster. Kachow just behind him as well. Dundee is on his outlap further ahead. Yurdi is also, I think, possibly on a hot lap. Looks like he might be, but we're going to stick with Calcis, the P2 man. He keeps it tight to the right-hand side. And he runs very wide there, gets away with it. Funnily enough, you do actually lose time running that wide on the exit of Cops, despite what it would seem like. Using all the grass there on the left-hand side that he dares touch. Into Stowe we go. Then down to the Vale chicane. Brakes late. A little bit of a lock-up, but he doesn't seem to have lost too much performance. He just goes over the line there, and that's going to be an invalidation. Kachow looking a little bit scruffy there, actually, hacking away at the steering wheel. As he crosses the line, he sets a 1:26.597. That's not going to be enough to knock Stein off the top of the standings. He's not going to be happy with that, is Kachow. Here comes Stein now, through Maggott and Beckett. The AlphaTauri driver looking to cement another pole position for himself. Going purple in Sector 2. He's got one sector left. DRS wide open as he comes up the hill now. Flicking it into the right-hander. Staying easily within track limits on the left-hand side. And into the chicane we go. Takes that apex. Clips that apex too. Short shifts up to 4 to really nail the traction. Calliope goes fastest with a 1:26.4. But Steinzap beats it with a 1:26.3. Incredibly tight there at the top of the standings. We've still got Domi Lee on a hot lap. He can't improve enough to knock anybody off the top spot. He does a 1:26.6 to put himself P4. Honesy entering the pits now. Dace is already in the pits. Fiat DV is not going to be on a hot lap as well. So that's going to be your final grid order there. We're going to have Steinzap on pole. Calliope is going to be P2, the Alpine driver, getting a front row start for the sprint qualifying session. Kachow P3, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, I'd imagine. Domi Lee P4, I think he'll take that. Calces narrowly in P5 by 2/100ths of a second. And we've got Standing Crib, who might see himself in the steward's office shortly after this race, because that did seem like a little bit of blocking there to the one and only Bram. And speak of the devil, there's Honesy, he's in the pits. Only P7, he'll be very disappointed with that, considering he was up on his lap time, I think, on that final run. Viet now getting wheeled into the pits. He's the last of the drivers. And there is the confirmation there, Steinzap in P1. Hello there to whoever that was. Mark of Kenya. Hello, Mark of Kenya. You had a very nice qualifying session, did you? Oh, never mind.
Fish.
Fish? Well, talking about fish, Dace is down there in P9. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that one, I think. The fish there. Funnily enough, he is a fish, Dace, but he can't swim. It's a fun fact for you guys. We're always full of fun facts in the interlude between sessions. Got to keep it interesting, of course. Here we go. It's looking a little bit overcast, actually, for the sprint qualifying session. I'm not sure if we're actually going to go to a formation lap here. It doesn't look like we are. And then we aren't. It's 5 red lights and away we go. Steinzap seems to get away well, but he's got Calirob alongside him coming into turn 1. He's going to keep the lead though. Then it's going to be Kachow just behind. He's tucked right up in the slipstream. He might go for the dive down the inside. Yes, he does as we come through here. And that's a spin. That's Steinzap around during the sprint qualifying. That's not going to be great for him. It looks like he might be starting last here now for the Grand Prix after putting in such a great lap in the qualifying session. Kalsa's trying to pressure Kachow, but he's just too far back. Got a lot of fighting going on here though. It looks like we've got Mock on the inside. Stewart trying to go around his outside, but he's forced off. Then Mock leaves the space to the left-hander. Yurdis tries to be opportune there. Impossible Bacon doing the same. Bacon could look to get a run on Mock here. He's deploying his DRS. Dace is past IRL Dundee at the back of the field. That's a double DNF there. That's a big crash. Mr. Wu and Yurdis on the run up to Cops there. So Steinzap won't be starting last. I stand corrected. Steinzap getting past Dace there. Let's go back towards the front of the field. We've got Honesy putting pressure on his teammate there, Hervina. The two Ferraris both wanting to avoid a pronto here, but they're not going to be scared to fight each other, I don't think. Mock gets past Stewart. Stewart could look to maybe get the up and under. The switchback. Mock leaves space on the outside. Stewart doesn't dive it though. Tries to switch back Mock and then switch back again. Can he get the exit out of this corner that he needs to try and challenge? Perhaps into turn 1, perhaps into turn 2 or 3. Not quite, it would seem. Jonesy's still putting Hervina under pressure, and Domi Lee right on the back of Kalsis, as we can see that from the view of Calirob. Stuart Little on Mock now. Into the right-hander. That's a great move there by Stuart. Mock's going to look to try and fight this one back though. Can he pick up the traction? No, he can't. He gets a little bit of oversteer there, and that's going to probably let Stuart sneak away. Honesy and Crib all very close to each other. Crib could possibly look to make a move here on Honesy. Honesy's deploying as well. He knows the danger of the car behind getting a run on him into Cops. The Dutchman not wanting to go the way of his fellow countryman into that corner, I don't believe. Honesy putting a lot of pressure on Hervina though. It's going to be difficult to see if Hervina... it's going to be difficult to imagine Hervina can defend once DRS gets enabled, but that's not going to help Honesy. He styles it out though. That was all part of the plan. Don't worry about it. Here goes Honesy to the inside. He's going to be under pressure though from Vincent. Standing 497 Crib. They're going to go 3 wide. He makes the double move. The Mercedes driver absolutely mugs off the Ferraris. But Hervina isn't happy with it. He's going to go down the inside. They make a little bit of contact there. And Standing Crib is going to cut the line off there, as he had the right to do. It would seem that Honesy's not going to be happy with that. The man that blocked him in qualifying has got another one over on him. Mock still trying to put a little bit of pressure on Stewart. NRL Ben there taking a different line to maybe see if he can try and pressurise Honesy coming out of this corner. Looks like he's going to be a little bit too far back. We've got yellow flags there though. That's going to be Impossible Bacon's been spun round there in Sector 1. It's going to severely hamper his starting position, but he's still ahead of Dundee, so you know, always look on the bright side. Hervina already starting to lose touch of the Mercedes behind him, but Honesy is right behind him, trying to put him under that pressure. Hervina really needs to try and keep the DRS here to that Mercedes car, or he is going to be under a hell of a lot of pressure from his teammate. He already is, as the DRS gets open. They both got DRS, but Honesy does have a much stronger slipstream. Will he try and make the move here into this corner? He's going to be a little bit too far back. Stuart Little picking up a 2-second time penalty, of course, not the usual 3-second time penalties we would normally see, as this is a 5-lapper. Cairo trying to pressure Domi Lee for that P3 starting slot. Mock is right up behind Stuart. He could look to make the move. He does go down the inside here, Mock. Stuart leaves him the space. Stuart already with that 2-second time penalty, so this isn't exactly for position, but I don't think that's going to take anything away from these two drivers wanting to get past each other. Domi Lee getting past Calces. Great move by Domi Lee. Calces coming under a little bit of pressure from the Alpine. He's just touched the rear of Domi. He somehow manages to save that. A very good save there from Calces. He's done very well there. Kalirov could look to maybe make a move into Cops, but he has enough brain cells to realise that that's not a good idea. He lifts off. Talking about people with brain cells, that's not going to be the guy that's just picked up a 2-second time penalty. That's Dace with a 2-second time penalty as he comes through Cops. And yeah, I think Dace certainly would have gone for that move into Cops. Anyway, Ben pressurising Honesy now. DRS open down the main straight. Down the hanger straight. Kalirov gets back past Domi Lee. Domi Lee's not going to be able to fight it just yet. If he uses a bit of ERS here, but he doesn't have any left. He could look to maybe make a move into the Vale chicane. He doesn't go for it though. He lets Kalirov stay ahead. For now. Of course, Kalirov won't have the DRS from the car behind him. Stuart Little and Mock already getting into it again. Domi Lee really low on the ERS. Toss could sense an opportunity here, but he's low too. Kalirov with a little bit more that might just allow him to defend. It looks like Kachow though is going to be getting this pole position from the sprint race, unless he manages to do one of his trademark spins. Domi looking to pressurise Kalirov now, using that DRS to catch right back up to him. The Alpine driver will be feeling the pressure, but I think he'll be confident with the amount of ERS he has. Toss could be actually looking at making up a position here to start P3 on the grid though. Honesy finally getting past his teammate of Havernu, who seems to have made a mistake, as NRL Ben also pounces on that and gets past. Formerly known as Tiny Darth Spike, but he changed his name for no apparent reason. NRL Ben tucked right up behind Honesy as they come up to Maggot Beckett's. We're going to go back forward here. We're going to watch it on board with Calces as Toss tries to put Domi Lee under pressure. They're going to be snaking around, trying to break the toe, but Toss wants that toe. Tucked up right behind Domi. Will he go for it? It looks like he's just going to be a little bit too far back. Could Toss still try and make the move coming out of this corner? I think he's going to. He's going to try and get to the inside. Domi Lee's going to cover it off, so he's going to have to dive around the outside. They make a little bit of contact there. Domi Lee pushes him slightly offline. Calces tries to make the most of this opportunity and go around the outside of Toss, but he's just a little bit too far back. Ben getting past Havina just at the end there as well. Maybe Havina with a little bit of damage. It was just hindering his pace slightly. A photo finish there between Stewart and Viet as well, as we then see Impossible Bacon crawl across the line to take P15, and yeah, IRL Dundee is going to be delaying the race by a whole 15 minutes, I think, with how far back he is. Ale. Impossible Bacon, ever the impatient one. And here goes the formation lap.
Dace is fish.
Dace is a fish. This is a true fact by that commenter. That's an extra constructor's point there to whoever said that. So here we go, the grid forming up now. It's almost time for our race start. Kachow is your pole sitter, with Calirob in second place. It's 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. Calirob seems to get a really good start there. Kachow's had a pretty bad one. Calirob's in the lead, followed by Domi Lee. Kachow all the way down to P3. He's going to be under pressure from Kalsis, who's side by side with Tosta Caber. Calirob's still leading the way. Kalsis running a little bit wide there as Havina tries to get a good run there. And Toss tries to get a good run as well, possibly to overtake Kachow. Domi Lee though, he's got the slipstream. He's going to be deploying. We've got a crash there as well in the first sector. That seems to be Mark of Kenya and Honesy that have had it coming together. And that's Domi Lee up into the lead. Calirob taking a wider line, perhaps trying to cut back there on the exit and try and get the run out of that corner on Domi Lee. Could he go for a move into Cops? We saw him shy away from this in the sprint qualifying. Is he going to shy away from it in the normal race? Yes, he will. Viet DV getting past Stuart Little as well. Kachow following closely behind Calirob. He'll be looking to take back that position. We've got Impossible Bacon making the move on Yurdi. Stuart Little getting straight back past Viet DV, who then reclaims his position again. Kachow is going to be putting Calirob under a lot of pressure now, but not quite enough pressure to manage to get his way past. Impossible Bacon and Dace side by side. Dace running off the track there. Impossible Bacon tries to outbrake him around the outside and loses the rear of the car. It looks like he got tapped there by Dundee, because that was a very unnatural looking loss of grip at the rear. Mr. Woot manages to find his way past. Crib also going to be putting him under pressure. Calirob is under pressure though. Calirob under pressure up there in P1. And that was a spin that looked like they could have maybe come together, as we see a dive bomb there by standing Crib, who then gets spun around. Unlucky there for Vincent. Honesy only a second back there from standing. Calirob still trying to keep the pressure up on Domi Lee. He's got Kachow just behind him, and then Toss the Caber right behind him then. Calirob just keeping Domi Lee honest. When DRS gets enabled, Domi Lee is going to find himself in a very difficult position to defend. As Kachau picks up his first time penalty already. It's only lap 2 and Kachau has managed to rack up 3 warnings. We've got a car off there. I think that's Havina. Yep, but he's going to be able to continue on. Just ran a little bit wide. As long as he doesn't rejoin straight onto the racing line there. Yep, we're all okay. Kachau is putting Calirob under pressure though. Side by side they go. Calirob is going to be on the inside for this next corner. Kachau is going to be on the outside. Kachau doesn't try and outbrake him though. He hopes Calirob that outbreaks himself, but he doesn't. The Sangria drinking New Yorker manages to keep it well within the limits. Toss now looking to put Kachau under a little bit of pressure going towards turn 1 as he got a little bit offline from that battle with Calirob. Kals is trying to pressure Toss as well. The top 5 still pretty close together within a couple of seconds of each other. You could throw a metaphorical blanket over them, I suppose, if that's the analogy that you wanted to make. We'll go back on board with Calirob. We've got Impossible Bacon trundling around on his own at the back of the grid. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him retire from the session. But he might just hang on and try and get a safety car. He's not too far behind. Toss pressuring Kachau. Of course, the gaps between the drivers opening up a little bit through this section as it's mostly corners, but Calirob is going to be in a position here to strike on Domi Lee. He's going to get the DRS wide open. He's going to be tucked up in the slipstream. I don't think Domi Lee can really defend this one too hard because Calirob is going to be cleanly past him there on the outside. He moves back over onto the racing line, does Domi Lee, accepting that he's not going to be able to make a lunge up the inside. He doesn't want to get under pressure from the cars behind him as well. Kachau could look a little bit eager if he just gets a good exit out of that corner if Domi Lee takes that line again. Yuri picking up the 3-second time penalty as well. We've got the AlphaTauris running line astern in 5th and 6th. Stein's upsetting the fastest lap of the race, showing that pace that we saw in qualifying. Initially, of course, he had that bad little run in sprint qualifying. He lost a lot of positions there. I think he had a spin. But he wants to redeem himself. Dace trying to put pressure on the mouse. No one likes the mouse. The mouse doesn't even like the mouse. Dace makes the move up the inside to try and just throw Stewart off a little bit. Probably not the wisest move, but it is Dace. DRS wide open now from Dace. He's going to be tucked up behind the 69 number driver. He just isn't going to gain enough though to make a look at making the move, but Stewart runs a little bit wide. This could open the door here for Dace through the right-hander. Stewart backs out a little bit, tries to prioritise his exit, which he does. They're going to be side by side on the exit. Dace gets a slightly better run now out of the corner, but Stewart is going to have the inside line on the run up to Cops. Who's going to deploy, who isn't? Dace is going to deploy, Stewart Little isn't. He's going to try and slot in behind through Cops, which is probably the wisest decision. Multi 1-2 screams Steinzab as he makes his way through the Maggots and Beckett's. Of course, this has been the first half an hour of the week where Steinzab hasn't been playing Football Manager. Over to the outside he goes as he tries to get past his teammate. Kalsis can't hang that one in there on the inside. The DRS just too powerful. Domi Lee's past Calirob though, into P1. Calirob might try and fight it back though, down the inside into the Vale chicane. Pushes Domi Lee a little bit offline. Then he goes for the switchback, a beautiful switchback there from Calirob. He takes a little bit of curb on the inside. Dominic just manages to get the run coming out of the corner. And here comes Kachau putting Calirob under pressure. Side by side they go through turn 1 as we watch from the Toss's point of view. Calirob might try and hold this around the outside, but it looks like Kachau might have the move done on the brakes. Calirob has to slot in behind and he does so. Takes a slightly wider line, hoping to prioritise the exit. Could he maybe switch back Kachau here? We don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Toss just 2/10 behind this as well. Here comes Calirob now with the DRS wide open. He's in the slipstream. He isn't deploying though, he doesn't want to go for the move because Kachau is going for the move here on Domi Lee. We'll watch this from the onboard of Calirob. Domi Lee gets passed by Kachau. And Calirob could maybe look at making a move here, but I think he's probably just going to try and slot in behind. He is going to burn a little bit of ERS, but not enough to try and make a move. We've got Hervina spinning down the order. He's off in the gravel there. Terrible for the Ferrari driver. Calirob pressuring Domi Lee now, coming through Maggots and Beckett's. He's right up behind him. They almost make contact as well, as is the difference in minimum apex speed between Domi Lee and Calirob. Calirob trying to get the exit now. DRS wide open for both of them, but Domi Lee has a much weaker slipstream. They're weaving like Max Verstappen on the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, trying to break that slipstream, and it seems to work there for Domi Lee as Calirob just can't get back past him again. Viet trying to pressurise Ben, but it's not going to be enough. Mock and Standing Crib, the closest battle that we have through the field at this moment in time. Mock running a little bit wide there as Impossible Bacon gets past Havina, who has boxed. This could be our first retirement of the race. We'll keep an eye on that, but we want to go back to the front of the field. Of course, we want to see the battles. Kals is trying to put the pressure on Stein, but he's just going to be a little bit too far back. It looks to have, we've seemed to have hit a little bit of a lull. Calirob gaining a little bit there on Domily, obviously down the straight with the slipstream, but not going to be enough to put him under any real pressure. The battles through the field calming down a little bit. It seems like we can perhaps take a breath for the first time in 6 laps here. The race goes by so quickly at a power track like Silverstone. You're full throttle for so much of this lap that you just burn through the distance. Calirob is still going to be trying to put Domily under pressure, who is almost fallen out of the DRS range of Kachau, but not quite. Kachau, with that penalty, he needs to pull away. He needs to pull the gap. He has the pace to do it. If he can bring a second out from Domily, he can maybe try and extend his lead now over the next 20 laps. But right now, if he stays in this DRS, he's going to have to rely on the other guys getting penalties. Mock and Crib battling here. Crib gets past him pretty easily. Looks like Mock maybe had a bad exit because he's going to be under pressure from Honesy, who has a little look to the inside, but decides not to take the risk. Kachau now out of the DRS range of Domily. This could force Domily back into the clutches of Calirob. Foster Caver just behind them as well. He also has a penalty though. Kals is trying to put his AlphaTauri teammate under a little bit of pressure. As we've got some yellow flags, that's an Aston Martin off, that's going to be Yerdy. He's had a spin, but he's going to recover, I think. Calirob can now really try and put the pressure on Domily, as we see Domily's DRS flap not open at all. He's too far away from Kachau, who now needs to pull 3 seconds of distance out. Dundee and Stewart seem to be fighting as well. We can go and have a look at that. Stewart seems to be pretty far behind now. Dundee, who seems to have gotten that move done pretty cleanly. Domily, infamously known for not managing his ERS very well. We saw that in the sprint, and he's going to be under pressure now from Calirob, as he has half of the ERS that Calirob has. And here goes Calirob. He gets the run with the slipstream, with the DRS, goes to the inside. Domily squeezes on a little bit towards the grass, going a little bit defensive there. Domily, who tries to hold it around the outside, will go on board with him. He has to lift a little bit though, as the rear just can't live with that much strain going through it. Just does not quite have the grip. And if these guys keep fighting like this, Kachau is going to be licking his German lips and running away out at the front of the field. Toss actually closer to Domily now than Domily is to Calirob. Calirob got surprisingly good pace here. He could be looking to maybe even pull the DRS gap from Dommy, as we see Stuart Little, the mouse, has eaten his last bit of cheese. Off he flies at turn 1. He's going to be pretty far behind. Not quite as far behind as Impossible Bacon, but still pretty far behind. We've got more yellow flags there. That's a Red Bull that's going to be off. That's Viet DV, who has got no front wing, so he must have hit someone pretty hard, unless he's somehow gone into the wall there, but the wall's pretty far from the track here. But that's going to absolutely kill Viet's race. We'll go back to Domily, who's trying to put pressure onto Calirob, but he's just getting a little bit too far away. Stein runs wide, probably avoids the walling there just by how wide he does run. Bacon already getting past Stuart Little. Bacon will be flying past Viet DV as well, who of course doesn't have that wing. And Viet is wise enough to know that he just needs to back off there, let people go by him. You've got to play it safe in that situation. You don't want to be going through a corner right ahead of someone with no wing, because the difference in the speed means that you're very likely to cause a crash. Dundee under pressure there from Dace. I think Dundee has actually just passed the Mercedes driver. But Dace will probably be looking to get him back if that's going to be possible. Calirob setting the fastest lap of the race so far. He's trying to pull Kachau in. Kachau will be sweating up front, I think, now. And not sweating like he does in time trial every night because he's lonely, but sweating because he's under a lot of pressure. Stuart Little boxes, as does Viet, of course. Both of them managing to get the car slowed down there. Honesy also in the pits. Could be triggering a very very long undercut. As Via retires in the pits. He's had enough. He wants to go back to playing GT7. Hot for Domerman, he screams as he hits the retire button. He's going to be out of this race. Toss trying to put the pressure on Domi Lee. Calirob has already pulled 1.2 seconds away from Domi, who does not have the pace to stick with the fake Californian at this moment in time. Toss could be looking to put him under some pressure. Toss obviously with that track limit warning, he needs to get a move on and hope that other people also get warnings. I don't think Domi Lee can defend this one either, because there goes the ERS light blinking. With the DRS enabled, they go to the inside, they make a little bit of contact there. I don't think anything beyond a racing incident though, as wide runs Toss the Caber. He's going to be under a little bit of pressure there from Steinzap as well. The Dutchman wanting to bring himself up the field. Some gaps opening up now throughout the field. This is the closest sort of fight here, as we've got Calcis close to his teammate, who is even closer to Toss. Steinzap could be looking to strike, but this is the problem with the DRS. You just end up in these trains. You might have the DRS to try and overtake the guy ahead of you, but the guy ahead of you has the DRS too. And it just means it can be slightly processional at times. NRL Ben trying to put Calcis under a little bit of pressure as well as this train begins to form. They will likely be pulling away from Dundee, who seems to have gotten a little bit of a bad exit there. Crib trying to put Mr. Woot under some pressure. Mr. Wu under a lot of pressure now, as Toss puts even more pressure on Domi Lee. We're going to go on board with this fight. Toss tries again. He wasn't successful the first time. Will he be successful the second time? They make a little bit of contact, but they both survive it. Could be very risky doing that there. Steinzap wants to possibly try and make a move, but he just can't, because they're too wide, and Toss has been spanned there by Domi Lee. They made a little bit of contact. Off goes Toss. Steinzap jumps on that and gets past the McLaren driver. Steinzap could be, Calcis, could be looking to put Domi under a little bit of pressure. That's heartbreaking there for Toss, who manages to recover it pretty well there and actually retains at least 8th place. Mock getting past Dace as Dace comes into the pits. We've got a Haas off there. It's Kachow! It's race leader, ex-race leader, shall I say, Kachow. I wonder, did his wheel disconnect? I wonder, did he forget how to use his right foot? We don't know, but now he has big wing damage. And that's surely the race win gone for Kachow. Domi Lee putting Steinzap under a lot of pressure though through the left-hander. He's going to take a slightly wider entry possibly to try and maybe maximise his exit if he can cut low. Calirob now in the net race lead, 3 seconds ahead of Stein. He's looking very comfortable for this win. Once again, Kachow proves to be his own worst enemy. He seems to have the race under control, but he just does not have that consistency, and he's struggled with that all game long, and it does not seem to have gotten any better as of late. Domi Lee blinking with the ZRS light, as we know. He's too busy focused on adding playlists, adding songs to the Jim Mangas playlist, and less interested in managing his ERS, because he's cost himself the opportunity to attack Stein here perhaps, and he's actually used the ERS even more there, where he probably shouldn't have. He should have saved it, used the ERS to keep within touching distance of Stein without using any ERS, and that's how you can regenerate some. But perhaps he's not thinking that far ahead. Calcis putting the pressure on Domi Lee though. NRL Ben just behind this as well. He's watching on eagerly as Mr. Woot gets himself past Kachow, who surely has to pit now. I feel sorry for Pump on Purpose, who's going to be hearing "Mein Gott, muss das sein" from the room next door. The gap's opening up slightly. I don't think anybody's going to really have a run on anybody up here, but Standing Crib could have a run on Toss. No, he's going to be too far back. Stein under pressure still from Domi Lee, but I'm sure Stein can deal with that. Obviously a past champion, he knows how to deal with pressure. Ben not so much in the title fight that some of the other top drivers are, so he can afford to take a few more risks. And I think that confirms how badly Kachow's race is going if he's going to end up behind Impossible Bacon. I mean, oof. You know something has gone awry if you end up in that scenario. Stein under a lot of pressure now from Domi, who's just going to be a little bit too far back, I think, to try and send a move into this corner. Can he try and nail the exit, perhaps put Stein under pressure? No, he can't. He takes too much entry speed, and Stein slithers away slightly there. Of course, Domi Lee being the filling in a AlphaTauri sandwich at this moment in time. Great points for the AlphaTauri team if things stay as they are. We've hit the halfway point of this race now as Calirob crossed the start-finish line to begin lap 13. He's lost a little bit of time actually to Stein, who is trying to catch up. However, if Domi does start fighting him, then he could see himself lose a lot of time to Calirob. With that battle in, this is a great run here from Domi. He's not quite going to have enough of a run though, I don't think. Saves his ERS just at the end of the straight there. He sees Stein's up's light blinking. He knows that Stein doesn't have much ERS to play with either. Crib putting Toss under some pressure, but not quite enough pressure to try and make a move. The slipstream, pretty powerful on the run up to Cops. You don't think of it as a straight, but you are in 8th gear. It's a pretty high speed section of track. And Domi Lee certainly looking to put Stein under more and more pressure as this race goes on. He needs to try and get past him soon though, because Stein does seem to have the pace. Calcis is putting Domi Lee under pressure, and look at the ERS that Calcis has. You can see the two guys ahead of him with their ERS lights blinking. He looks down at his own dash and sees 78% on the ERS. That's going to be a big advantage for him. Ben also faring better in the ERS department than Stein's up and Domi Lee are. Crib trying to pressurise Toss, but Toss just keeping his cool for now. Of course, the Scottish driver from Scotland, he knows everything about things being very cold, so he can keep his cool. Domi Lee right behind Stein, who's sparking away. Up into 4th, trying to nail the traction. DRS wide open. Really putting Stein under a lot of pressure here. They almost make a little bit of contact. Domi Lee needs to be careful to not exceed trial limits there on the inside. Stein needs to keep in mind that Domi Lee does have that 3-second time penalty though. However, I don't think Stein would want to let Domi Lee by, because I think Stein knows he has the pace to perhaps try and put Calirob under some pressure. Kachau setting the fastest lap of the race so far, 128.5 on fresh softs. For everybody's favourite F1 team. He will be looking to get past Impossible Bacon pretty soon as well. But Domi Lee is looking to get past Stein. He's on the outside again. He could find himself under a little bit of pressure actually from Calcis. Stein peels off into the pit lane. So he is going to have the undercut on Domi Lee as well. He'll be able to possibly extend his gap a little bit further now. This is a big risk for drivers like Stein and NRL Ben though. What if a safety car came out in about 20 seconds time? They would be in a lot of trouble. Kachau putting a lot of pressure now on Bacon. I don't think Bacon will be able to keep Kachau behind him down the hanger straight. Kachau just got so much grip on those fresh softs. Of course, Silverstone being one of Kachau's better circuits, and I don't think Bacon's really going to try and fight that too hard. Maybe he is, because Kachau doesn't quite get the run that he would have hoped to have gotten. It's going to be enough though to get past, unless Impossible tries to get the switch back on him. He's going to deploy. Is he going to send it down the inside? No, he's a little bit too wise for that one. As we see Crib trying to put the pressure there onto Toss. Calcis trying to pressure Domi Lee. If he can slow Domi Lee down, it's going to help his teammate Stein's up even more. But he catches a little bit of that sausage curb there on the left hand side. It unsettles the car, and he does cut over a little bit there. That's probably going to be a warning. And he's quite far behind Domi Lee, but Domi Lee doesn't have the ERS to defend. Calcis does have the DRS, and this is the importance of saving your ERS. And he was so far behind, but with the DRS and with the ERS, if you have the advantage in battery deployment, you get a massive advantage. That doesn't give you a massive advantage, so that's Domi Lee going spinning off there His race almost in tatters now. You'd imagine he would pit now instead of trying to carry on those hot tyres. That's going to solidify a large gap there as well for Stein, as Domily also picks up a 5-second time penalty to rub salt into his own wounds. Calcis now into the pit lane as well, as we see Calirob leaving the pits just behind him. Do we think Stein could have perhaps gotten a little bit of an undercut on Calirob? I don't think it would have been enough to gain a position, but he perhaps could have gained a little bit of time. It's going to be interesting to see. Looks like Stein's just going to be a little bit too far back. Maybe he didn't quite have the lap that he wanted to have there after coming out of the pits. No, he's lost out to his teammates, so he's had a really bad lap there, Stein. Lost the position to Calcis as well, so... yeah, it looks like his strategy choices backfired, as he's now on 1 lap older softs as well than the guys around him. NRL Ben also trying to put him under some pressure. Honesy right behind Toss as well. He'll be wanting to get past him as soon as is practicable. Stein putting the pressure on Calcis. Ben shifting down to 7th there to really try and get the acceleration coming out of Cops. Different to what we saw in qualifying from most of the drivers, of course. We've got Cribb is our net race leader, is our current race leader, sorry, not our net race leader. And he is into the pits. It looks like he'll lose the position to Woot and to Calirob. I mean, this would be incredible if he managed to come out ahead of Calirob, but I really don't see it happening. That seems about as unlikely as Bournemouth winning the championship. Ben is still right behind Stein. They're trying to put him under a lot of pressure as he sets the fastest third sector of this race so far. Calirob enjoying a comfortable lead out front as well. Let's check in on the fish. Toss really close up behind Dace TG now. Of course, the common dace is native to Europe, but has also been introduced in other areas of the world as well, into freshwater ways. Dundee trying to put the pressure now onto Ben. Toss is incredibly close behind Vincent now. As we have a crash there, that's a Aston Martin. That's going to be Yurdi who's DNF'd. We could see a safety car here. We'll wait and see if it gets called. I don't think it will do, as I think it would have been called by now already. We've gotten away with that one. Yep, that's no safety car there for that incident. Yurdi will be kicking himself though. I think what's probably happened there is he's taken a little bit too much curve, been a little bit too ambitious there on the inside, and lost the car as Dace gets passed by Cribber, then picks up a track limit penalty as well, a 3-second time penalty for running wide there. Calirob setting the fastest lap of the race as he just stretches his legs ahead of Calcis. We probably would have seen a close fight between Calirob and Kachow as well in this race if Kachow hadn't Kachowed it. Alas, he did. As we see a yellow flag in Sector 1, that's going to be the Alfa Romeo of Toss the Caber who spun round. It seems like he has wing damage as well, yet he has no front wing. He's running backwards. He's got to be careful here not to get disqualified, because you know what this game can be like. He's going to end up behind Impossible Bacon in P14, and Ovina's going to be catching very quickly as well due to that wing damage. The gaps have sort of opened up a little bit. We've got Dominic Lee, Dace and Honesy all sort of close together, as well as Mr. Wu and Kachow as well a little bit further back. But Calirob just stretching his legs as he goes through Maggots and Beckett's now. Honesy not quite having the corner he would have wanted there. Dominic might have a little bit of a run on him. Coming up to Maggots Beckett's as Hovina gets past the incredibly damaged Alfa Romeo of Toss the Caber. And Dominic just does not get the run through Maggots and Beckett's that he would have wanted. It looks like he's not going to be able to put any pressure onto Honesy. Stein still trying to pressure his teammate. Tommy Lee right up behind Honesy, but he's going to be a little bit too far back to make the move, and again the bane of Domilee's existence is that damn battery. He just can't manage the thing. Kachow putting a lot of pressure on NRL's cleanest, most not insane and sensible driver, Mark of Kenya. I suppose I should have said most sane as opposed to most not insane, but we ignore that. Still a lot of pressure between the AlphaTauri teammates as well, but it looks like Kachow could get past Mark here. DRS gets enabled. Domilee seems to have gotten himself past Honesy as well, as here goes Kachow on Mark of Kenya. Mark dives it back down the inside, but he could leave himself open to the switch back here from Kachow, who tries to hang it around the outside. Who will get the better exit? Will Kachow try and make the move into Cops as Mock is cleanly ahead? Kachow has a look. Mock goes a little bit deep though, tries to carry a little bit too much speed. Kachow looks to maybe make the
setup ever,
but he can't quite.
Impossible to drive.
And there's the words of Yurdi there. I had the worst car setup ever. It was impossible to drive. Well, there you go. If you've got a little bit too much instability, especially at turn 1 and at this corner where we just saw Dace have a little bit of a moment, you can easily find yourself facing the wrong way, or even worse, facing the medical centre. Mark just behind Mr. Woot now, who seems to have gotten past as Kachow did. Honesy right on the back of Dace TG as well. Fortunately for Dace, Domilee is going to be giving them both the DRS. So Dace doesn't need to worry about the big DRS difference between him and the car behind. That's a car off there, that's impossible. Bacon off in the gravel at turn 1. Not where you want to end up, but it's where a lot of drivers have ended up thus far in this race. An absolutely rotten race there for Impossible Bacon. From start to finish, things have been going wrong, and yeah, unfortunately for him, it doesn't like he's going to get any points here unless we get a safety car. There's only 6 laps remaining though. Stein putting the pressure on his teammate Calcis. If he wants that P2 spot, he's only got a matter of about 5 laps to try and make that move. And that's Impossible Bacon. It's out of the session on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's. Could this be a safety car? We've had a ball with Stuart Little. He's on the racing line. That's got to be a safety car. That is a safety car. A full course safety car. And suddenly, Cali Rob's pants go from white to brown within the space of 2 corners. He's going to be under a lot of pressure here from the AlphaTauri duo of Calcis and Steinzap. NRL Ben could be looking at sneaking a podium as well if there's a little bit of carnage up front, or if he can be really good with his moves, as Kachow picks up a 3-second time penalty at the worst possible time. That's Hervina there, who's going to spin it under safety car. How embarrassing, in the words of Grandmaster Yoda. How embarrassing. Unfortunate for him. We will have to see who is going to pit, who won't pit, because this is going to be massive for the outcome of this race. Does Calibob pit? No, he doesn't. Does Calcis pit? No, he doesn't. Does Stein? No. Does Ben? No. Does Dundee? Yes! Yes, Dundee takes the risk and he decides to box onto those fresh soft tyres. Domilee seems to be coming in. Dace is coming in as well. What's Honesy going to do? He's going to stay out and gain 3 positions. What about Kachow? Domilee picking up another 5-second time penalty in the pit entry under the damn safety car. I mean, come on, Dommy. Really? Like, really? Hervina playing Colin McRae Rally down the hangar straight. I think we need to let him know that this is actually the F1 game. I'm not sure if he's realised. Stewart and Toss pretty far behind. Calirob now right up behind the safety car. So we're just waiting for everybody to join the queue now. We've got a pretty stretched out lobby here. Everybody pretty far away from each other, so it might take a moment for these guys to catch up. My guess would be that it would be in on lap 23. As it's currently at lap 22, it won't be in this lap of course, with some drivers still in sector 1, but as is the slow speed of the safety car, you will very quickly catch up. Who's going to be the constructor of the race? Well, it's not going to be Alfa Romeo. P14 and P15 are Stuart Little and Toss the Caber. Let's have a quick peek at the old penalties. Let's have a butcher's look at that. Dommy Lee doing Dommy Lee things. Pitting again. He's going to serve one of those 5-second time penalties, but wow, there's bottling it and then there's Dommy Lee kachowing it. I mean, these guys should be teammates. Such an unnecessary hindrance to your race, picking up 11 seconds of penalties. I mean, just so unnecessary, it really is. NRL Ben, the only guy in the top 5 with any penalties. It's a 3-second time penalty for him, so yeah, he's not in a great situation here. He could stand to lose a few places. We will see the safety car in this lap. Barring any sort of crazy glitches, as the Alfa Romeo duo that are somehow slower than Giovinazzi manage to catch up. But yeah, very unlucky for Yuri with that spin at turn 1. I'm not sure what Impossible managed to do to cause that safety car. I suppose he got just a little bit too much on the grass on the left hand side on the exit, the final corner of Maggots of Beckett, sort of what Perez did in real life in the sprint race and had a spin, but he couldn't avoid the wall. As he has significantly less talent than Checo Perez, it has to be said. In this lap is the safety car. There's the message from race control. And it's going to be all up to Calirob when he bolts. He's gone early. He's already bolted. It doesn't look like he's gotten a massive jump over Calcis, but it's a pretty nice one. 8 tenths of a second, 1 second. I'd take back my prior statement. That's a great safety car restart there by Calirob. Kachow putting Dason's pressure into turn 1. Dace leaves the space and runs actually too far out wide. Kachow's going to swoop around the outside on his soft tyres and he's going to take that position. Mock versus Dundee. Mock with the switchback. Good luck to put some pressure, perhaps try and make the move, but he's got Kachow right up his gearbox. I'd be on board with the two AlphaTauris, but I think they're just going to be a little bit too far away to swap positions. There goes Mock down the inside of Dundee. He spins, he taps Kachow. Kachow is off as well as Mock. Kachow actually comes off worse there. And I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves the server after this for another week. Caliber 1.4 seconds ahead and looking pretty comfortable ahead in the lead. We've got another spinner there of Mock as well as Stuart Little. NRL Dundee picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. That's not great for him. We're going to leave the penalties up on the left-hand side here as they are very pertinent to the outcome of this race with such a late safety car. Only 2 laps remaining now when Calibob crosses the line. He's 1.2 seconds ahead. He's just got to survive for that long. He doesn't have long left before he can taste the sweet champagne of P1. Carlson's under pressure. Not as much pressure as Ben, who is going to see himself passed here by Standing Crib. But can he send one back down the inside? He's not going to. He does have that 3-second time penalty, so he's better off just not losing any time here if he can help it. Honesy looking to put the pressure on Ben, who of course does have that 3-second time penalty. I'm not sure he'll defend it very well, well not very well, but very aggressively, sorry. As was the case with Standing Crib, aka Vincent, who is now trying to pressurise his fellow countryman Steinzap, who is just going to be following behind his teammate at this moment in time. Dobby pressuring Dundee into Cops. Doesn't go for the move just yet. Will he go for the move into Maggott and Beckett? It looks like he might well do. This never goes well. Ah, I clicked off by accident. I did not mean to. Dundee seems to have the position now. I think Dommy Lee backed out of that a little bit. And he also plays Colin McRae Rally, so I think him and Herbino have got the same download going on. They've installed the same game. Stein looking to put the pressure on Calcis, but he might have to look in his mirrors. Vincent incredibly close through the Vale chicane as we begin the final lap of this race with DRS enabled. It's going to be a 1-lap shootout to the finish. If Calibob doesn't mess this up, he has the win in the bag. I'm pretty confident he'll bring home the win because his gamer tag is Calibob187, not Kachow, who then sets the fastest lap of the race. So at least he'll be getting 1 point this race. Dundee gets past Woot, who then gets past past Dundee. And it's crazy. It's all over the place. Dundee's got back past him again. Who's going to cross the line ahead? We don't know. As Dommy Lee makes the move there on Woot, I think Woot can probably let him go here. But he's going to want to try and keep ahead to put the pressure on Dundee. Dommy Lee going to be falling behind Mr. Woot anyway with the penalty, as will Dundee at this rate. They both leave space for each other. Dommy Lee takes a wider entry, of course, being on the outside. Focuses more on his exit. He's got Dace right up behind him though, the Mercedes driver. As Toss picks up a 3-second time penalty right at the death, that's not going to help his position. Here goes Dace. Can he make the move on Dommy Lee, who goes defensive to the inside? Both of them on 6 seconds of time penalty, so this will be for position. Steins up, gets past Calcis as well. They're going to be side by side. They make contact. Standing Crips hit Stein and Calcis in the rear, and they're all going to drop back. Where's Dace? Where's whoever the hell he was fighting? Here's Dundee. I mean, if anyone was asking that question, there he is. Steins up crossing the line with a lot of wing damage to take P10 from P3. I think that one's going to go to the stewards. But wow, what an incredibly climactic end to this race. That was absolute madness. Absolutely crazy. I think I may have just had an aneurysm. But Calibob is your winner, ladies and gentlemen. And if this is correct, Mr. Woot is going to be P2 with Calcis P3. We've got Standing Crib in P4, but I've got a slight suspicion he's going to pick up some penalties after the fact. We've got Honesy behind in P5 with no wing. That's how you know it's crazy. He finished P5 with no wing. NRL Ben is going to be P6 after penalties. Hervina P7. Dundee will be P8. And I didn't quite catch the remainder of that top 10 there. Yeah, it looked like Stein had P2. Everything was nice and peaceful going into the chicane, and then suddenly it was Kut Godverdomme Nee! Around he went. A lot of damage. His fellow countryman, I think that was of Vincent, that did that as well. Kalsis takes P3. Kalirob and Mr. Woot P1 and 2. So there's your podium. Kalirob, Mr. Woot and Kalsis standing crib in P4, but he may suffer a little bit with penalties. He has Honesy right behind him in P5. P6 is NRL Ben with Hervina representing Sweden in P7. IRL Dundee with in P8 for Hungary, with Domily in P9. The highs for the British drivers at a very bad race for them at their home track. Stein rounds out the top 10 in P10 with Dace P11, Toss P12 and Kachow P13 after controlling this race throughout the first third. Stuart Little P14, Impossible Bacon P16, Yurdi P17 and Viet DV in P18. There's your final grid order. So there was the NRL Grand Prix of Great Britain, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to end the stream off here before I completely lose my voice. Absolute insanity. It looked at the start like Kachow was going to run away with it, and then he lost it, and then Kalirob just controlled the race. Absolutely fantastic drive by Kalirob. Can't fault him. Even with the safety car, he just kept his focus and pulled away from P2. That was absolute carnage at the end of the race. Action packed throughout, thanks to DNFs from Yurdi and Bacon. That was just absolutely fantastic. So thank you guys. I'm going to go No Life GT7 for the next 48 hours. Thanks for watching.